My name is Henry. I'm 11 years old and got diagnosed at the age of 4. I think these resources are so helpful as having type 1 diabetes can be challenging and feel overwhelming. The new Coping with Diabetes resources help me have a safe place to make me feel less worried, calm down and know I'm not alone.
And I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 7. And I think it's really important to have wellbeing resources when having diabetes, because diabetes is a condition for life, and I think at any point it can get to be too much. So having support for wellbeing is really important, because it can help you manage these day-to-day stresses that you might have. I think these diabetes resources will help me because it's something to refer to and to access when I'm struggling to cope with diabetes, and there's reassurance there that there's people behind these videos that can help you, and that there's support out there, and that you're not the only one accessing them, so you're not feeling these emotions by yourself. There's other people that feel the same way.
Hello, I'm I can't do any work.
Type 1
I think unless you're around the
is that it's not.
it's easy to feel alone.
Hello and welcome to DigiTalks. My name is Tom, part of the team here at DigiBete. Welcome along to tonight's event, our Coping with Diabetes event. Thank you so much for your company on this Thursday evening. Let's see what's happening tonight on our DigiTalks event. So we are streaming live right now on our website, digibete.org/digitalks. We're also on Twitter, X, Facebook, and Instagram streaming. So if you want to come join us here on our website, head on over to digibete.org/digitalks and can join the live chat there. Tonight is a family event. It's for everyone in the diabetes community. We've got lots of people joined in already from different backgrounds around the country. So tonight's event is very inclusive for everyone to come, join in and chat away. And hopefully you find it very helpful. So let's see what else is happening tonight. But before that, we want you to introduce yourself. There's many of you introducing yourself in the chat. We'll get a few of them up on the screen in a few minutes, but please let us know in the chat who you are, where you're listening from, and what you're looking forward to tonight. But what is coming up? We are going to be showing you around the Coping with Diabetes tool. It's an early intervention psychology tool to help with mental health and emotional well-being. There's peer support videos, there's animation explainers, there's self-reflections, there's lots of activities. And Maddie and Sam will be going through some of them activities with you tonight, but also we'll be hearing from the community, the lived experience. We'll be hearing from young people sharing their views on the psychology tool. And also we have a live psychologist chat where Tessa and Michael will be joining us. So if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. Here is our lived experience panel tonight. We have Jack, we have Neen, and also Sam. We welcome them to our chat tonight. And again, if you have any questions for them or any comments, please pop them in the chat. They'll really appreciate that. They'll be joining us shortly. We're looking forward to that. We are talking to our psychologist tonight. Tessa and Michael are joining us live, and Maddie, our co-founder and director here at DigiBete, will be talking to Michael and Tessa about how the Coping with Diabetes tool started, their thoughts on it, how it can really help people in clinic and out of clinic. So we'll be talking to them later on. As always, we have lots of resources that you guys can go check out. So go and look at the Breakthrough T1D website, also Diabetes UK, and they have lots of resources that can really support you, young people, families, young adults living with type 1 diabetes. So they've got lots of fantastic emotional wellbeing resources. Use the QR codes and go check them out. How to get involved tonight? Well, I can see many of you already tuned in, looking at the comments in the chat, flying through lots of messages. So if you're there, hello. You can also, if you're on social media, as you can see the platforms there, head on over to our website, digibete.org/digitalks, and you can join that live chat right now. As always, these are our DigiTalks values. We want it to be a fun event. We are very inclusive and we respect everyone's views. These are some of the sort of values that we really hope our events are. So we'll be abiding by them throughout the night. But above all, we want everyone to have a fun and safe night. But if there is anyone that is affected by any of the issues covered during tonight's DigiTalks event, please speak to your diabetes team, seek that additional support. If you have any questions or worries, or you do want to maybe take away something from tonight and you want to go to your diabetes team to talk a little bit further, please go do that. But you're also welcome to contact us here, the DigiBete team, hello@digibete.org. And as always, please go to our website, digibete.org, and you will find lots and lots of resources that can really help you on your diabetes journey. We do have our DigiBete app, and you can get your clinic code from your team, and they will be able to get you signed up on the DigiBete app. We are doing a fresh development of the app, which is coming very soon, which would be really exciting, with some new features and different resources. So keep an eye on that. And as always, there's our email. If you want to reach out to us and a member of the team, we'll get back to you. So let's see who's in the chat. My producer, Heather, is going to bring up some of the comments up to the screen. Hopefully, we'll see some comments. Lynn, hi, watching here with the family in Bristol. Our daughter has type 1. Hello, Lynn. Hello, family. Hope you're enjoying tonight's event. Claire says, good evening, everyone. Looking forward to listening to tonight's event on coping with diabetes. Thank you, Claire, for joining. And Ben says, hello from Leeds. My 12-year-old son, Toby, was diagnosed 1 month ago. Welcome to you, Ben. Welcome to Toby. Welcome to the family. You know, hopefully tonight, listening to this community event, you can take away some useful tips and see some of the resources that can really help you as a family but also your son, especially in these early days of being diagnosed with diabetes. So without further ado, let's see what's coming up for the rest of the evening. We're going to kick off with a lovely video from Jaya, who's going to share a little bit about how the Coping with Diabetes tool helps people just like her.
Hi, my name is Jaya, and I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 7. And I think it's really important to have wellbeing resources when having diabetes, because diabetes is a condition for life, and I think at any point it can get to be too much. So having support for wellbeing is really important, because it can help you manage these day-to-day stresses that you might have. I think these diabetes resources will help me because it's something to refer to and to access when I'm struggling to cope with diabetes, and there's reassurance there that there's people behind these videos that can help you, and that there's support out there, and that you're not the only one accessing them, so you're not feeling these emotions by yourself. There's other people that feel the same way.
Thank you, Jaya, for sharing your insights into the Coping with Diabetes tool and how it helps young people just like you. And that's what it's about on the tool. There's lots of helpful resources. And like you said, Jaya, there's nice peer videos that really just normalizes living with type 1, hearing from other people living with type 1. I actually live with type 1 myself and have done for 17 years. And I think it's so important if you can connect with other people, just like you guys are doing tonight in the chat. It's really, really hopefully helpful. So let's hand over to Maddie. Maddie is going to show you guys a little bit about what is the Coping with Diabetes tool, and she's going to show some of the younger resources. And later on in the evening, my colleague Sam is going to show you some of the young adult resources.
Hi,
Over
and
to you, Maddie.
welcome to our feature on what's available on DigiBete to support young people's psychology and mental health around living with type 1 diabetes. So I'm really, really pleased to share with you some of the work and tools that we've got available. Breakthrough T1D, and it's that partnership that's enabled lots of new content and resources to be made. So first of all, I'm going to share with you some of the kind of look and feel of the resources and how they've come about. This is the DigiBete app, and this gives you what's available. We do have a new app coming, so check out that in a little while. So the resources are all available in multiple languages, so you can choose your preferred language, and then you can get access to lots and lots of different resources available through the DigiBete app. So we've got some great features on the app. We've got the psychological tool, which we've been talking about today, which is called Coping with Diabetes. We've also got some really great peer support as well, and this has been funded by the Together Type 1 programme from Diabetes UK. And DigiBete have created a new carb counting tool within DigiBete, which is available freely to anybody who wants to use it. And that enables you to store meals, to calculate your foods on the go, and to reduce some of the stress of having to carb count different things when you're out and about. I'm going to move on now to a little bit more information about the psychology tool. So these were developed, the psychology tool Coping with Diabetes was developed in cooperation with lots of young people. So they came and they co-designed lots of different user sessions for the ages. So we had a younger session and a primary school sort of age session, and then we looked at younger teens and older teens, then into the young adults as well. And what was coming through was that there was lots of common themes around, feeling alone and isolated, feeling that it was too much and feeling overwhelmed and burnout really. And then also some stuff around managing relationships and managing difficult feelings, and school was really, really strong. So what we've gone is gone back to psychologists, worked with psychologists to create a really lovely set of resources that young people have inputted onto with the psychologists to support each other. And this is available freely within the DigiBete app on the Coping with Diabetes button. So I'm going to talk to you about the psychology tool that's available for all these different ages, but I'm concentrating on at the moment 6 to about 14-year-olds, 14, 15-year-olds. And then later on, my colleague Sam will talk to you about the young adult resources. So these are very much the children's resources and young people's resources. So you can see here, this is the much younger end. This is the 6 to 7s, where we've got things like puzzles to do when you're waiting. We've got self-kindness meditations for young people to watch to distract them. We've got some really, really lovely animations that were written by the wonderful Dr. Rose Stewart, who's a clinical psychologist, and she's done some really amazing books that are also available, but we've done the animated versions and they're available in the app. So that's How to Manage a Mammoth and also How to Hold a Hedgehog. We've also got lots of resources around managing arguments and managing school and looking at your own resilience around mindfulness around diabetes, so being kind to your mind. And you can see here some different features, but you can work through these resources, all the different buttons, and they're available to you whenever you need them 24/7. And then you can see some of the older ones, so we grow them up and they start reflecting older people's ideas. So this is the 14 to 15-year-old resources, and you can see here, again, we're looking at managing difficult feelings and relationships, and we're talking about coping with it at school and how we can do that. So you've got the written resources here, but we have lots and lots of video resources too, which you're going to see in a moment. Each of the sections and each of the buttons start with lived experience. So young people talking about feeling too much or feeling overwhelmed or being kind to their mind or managing school. And then we go into different types of resources, either reading resources, interactive, reflective writing resources, or in fact, video explainers of how our mind works and what we can do to activate some of our soothing system and to support our own mental health with diabetes. And now we're going to show you an example of the video, and this just gives you a little bit of a flavour of what's available to young people. Thanks very much, and I hope you enjoy it.
The Coping with Diabetes area is a new tool in the DigiBete app. If you click on the Coping with Diabetes button, you'll be taken to 6 different areas which have all been developed to help manage difficult feelings around diabetes.
Do you ever find yourself thinking it's not fair? This is something that most people living with diabetes will think about at some point. You might find that it bothers you more at some times and less at others. For example, it might bother you more at times when there is lots of change, such as moving up to high school.
It's really common to have thoughts like, why me? And it's not fair when you're living with diabetes. It can be important to remind yourself that it's okay to have these thoughts and the feelings that go with them, such as feeling upset, frustrated.
When I was younger, when all my friends was playing together and I was hypo, it just felt like it wasn't fair that I couldn't be with them at the same time as they were.
I used to, when I was quite younger, when I was about 13, 14, think that diabetes was always unfair and that it's, well, never really has been fair and still probably isn't fair.
Sometimes there's always aspects of it where you're just kind of like, why? If I'm watching a film and I bought some snacks, but then I go really high, so I can't eat those snacks. I'm like, great, yeah.
I find myself finding that it's not fair I have diabetes when I can feel that there's a difference between me and other people around me. So if I'm having a hypo whereas everybody else is doing something else, I always feel like it's not fair, why is it me when everybody else gets to do something and I don't get to do it?
Wow, how amazing was that to just see some of the resources? What is the Coping with Diabetes tool and some of the younger resources? So thank you, Maddie, for showing you guys around that. I hope that you found that helpful. We've got a few healthcare professionals joining us this evening. We've had consultants. Rosie says, "Hi, everyone. I am a psychologist working in the Exeter Peds Diabetes team. Looking forward to hearing more about the app. Hopefully seeing some of them resources, Rosie, can really help your families, your patients in your clinic." So amazing. Haley, hi, I'm Haley, psychologist in the diabetes team at Wrexham Park Hospital. Hello, Haley and the diabetes team up in Wrexham. And Daniela says, "Hi, I'm Daniela, a clinical psychologist working with the PEDS team at Chelsea and Westminster, London." Thank you so much, Daniela, for joining us this evening. And hopefully you can see how this Coping Diabetes tool can really help your families in clinic. We're now going to hear from Henry, and he's going to share his thoughts of the Coping with Diabetes tool.
My name is Henry. I'm 11 years old and got diagnosed at the age of 4. I think these resources are so helpful as having type 1 diabetes can be challenging and feel overwhelming. The new Coping with Diabetes resources help me have a safe place to make me feel less worried, calm down and know I'm not alone.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Henry, for sharing your thoughts of how the Coping with Diabetes tool can help people just like you. And now we are going to be hearing from some young adults, Jack, Neen, and Sam, and they're going to share their lived experiences of living with type 1 diabetes and how it sort of impacts with that, sort of how they feel, their mental health, emotional well-being. And we're going to ask them what they find helpful using the Coping with Diabetes, what features, what tools, what resources can really help them. So welcome to Jack, welcome to Neen, and welcome to Sam. We're going to bring them live up to the panel. Hello, Sam. Hello, Neen. And hopefully we will get Jack. There we go. Hello, Jack.
Hi.
Everyone.
Hello.
Welcome live to DigiTalks. Hope that you're well. Thank you so much for spending your evening here tonight, talking to the community. You can see there's lots of people watching and joining in, and it's about sharing that lived experience. And tonight, it's a pleasure to have you. So thank you. Let's kick on and let's introduce yourselves to the community. We'll start with maybe you, Sam, then Jack, then Neen. Could you introduce yourself? How long have you been living with type 1 diabetes, and what diabetes tech are you using?
Hi, yeah, thank you for having me tonight. I'm Sam. I've been a type 1 diabetic for 16 years, and I'm on the Dexcom G6 and Omnipod 5.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sam. Jack?
Awesome. Hello, everyone. I'm Jack. Again, thank you to Tom. Thank you all for having me. It's nice to be able to talk to everyone. I've been diabetic for 18 years, diagnosed at 2. I'm on the Tandem X2, I believe, Slim, the G6 Dexcom, and also I'm using Fiasp insulin, which is a bit of a random one, but I thought I'd throw it in there.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you. Welcome, as always, my friend. And Neen, welcome along. Could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, everyone, and thank you so much for having me as well. So my name is Neen, and I've been diabetic for a little over 12 years, so since I was 10, and I'm using insulin pens, and I'm also on the Libre sensor for checking my blood sugars.
Fantastic. Thank you, Neen, for coming tonight. And thank you from Alex from Breakthrough T1D that connected you to us tonight. So thank you, Jack. Thank you, Sam and Neen, for coming along. If anyone in the comments can add all them amazing years of between us, how many years we're living with type 1. And I've had diabetes 18 years. So if anyone in the chat can calculate that, my brain can't figure that out right now. It'd be great to see how many lived experience years we've got just on this panel. But what do you do to manage your well-being living with type 1? Let's start with you, Neen. What do you do to maybe relax or to cope with the day-to-day decision making living with type 1?
Yeah, so I think for me, it's about balance. So in general, in my life, I try to be active because being active helps blood sugar. So going to the gym, playing tennis, even doing yoga or going on walks. But then at the same time, I think listening to your body is really important. So when I'm feeling very exhausted, I try to allow myself to rest without feeling the guilt that I'm not moving, because it's such a mental and physical burden that I think it's important to allow ourselves to rest and just listen to our body. And then also in general, talking with friends, sharing with family, again, with balance. Sometimes I feel like I need to rant or talk about it, but sometimes I just tell my friends and family I need some time alone. I need to be by myself and be in my little burnout state, and then I'll come out of hibernation. So I think balance and listening to yourself is the way I found that it helps my mental state, my emotional well-being, in general.
Yeah, I think that's really important, isn't it? Looking after our bodies, looking after ourselves, recovering and having some downtime and sleep as well. We know how important that is. What about you, Jack? What do you do to manage your well-being? Similar to Neen with exercise and things like that, or do you have other strategies? What would you do?
Yeah, for sure, I would say similar to Neen in that I've always really appreciated exercise. I've done a lot of running in my time. I think in part because I never really liked the feeling of feeling a bit abnormal, and I just sort of wanted to go and run it off. So I think in many ways running is quite useful because it's quite cathartic in itself, and also kind of it helps me feel that I'm not necessarily like in a box from being diabetic, which I think is a big thing for me. I've also gone out of my way to find as many people as I can. So not only my friends and family, but I've also joined kind of Diabetes UK, for example, where I've just been able to get to know as many other type 1 diabetics as possible, because I think it's a big part of your personality, and it's not always something you can talk about freely. Well, of course you can talk about it freely all the time, but I think it's having people that can relate, which is quite pleasant. And then on top of that, I think, yes, it's really just, it's the balance. It's talking to friends and family. It's kind of balancing everything, juggling everything all at once and keeping going and kind of making sure you're all right whilst also trying to not let it stop you.
I think that's the key, isn't it? There's some key messages there. Peer support, we know how important that is. With people who really get it, just us four like here tonight, and there's people in the comments, people that really understand it and get it and get every high and low moment in living with type 1 diabetes. So yeah, thank you so much, Jack. What about you, Sam? What do you do to manage your well-being?
I mean, diabetes is always fluctuating. I mean, some days you can have like a crazy day eating at the most random hours, busy out from like sunrise to sunset, and your levels are just completely fine all day. And it's almost like your well-being's taking care of itself. You don't need to worry. And then other days you could be doing nothing, just sitting around, and your blood levels are going crazy. And I think it's just learning to cope with that, sort of making sure you have a support network around you, so that on those days where it's going wild, you can ask someone to like step in and help you manage it, because it is a lot to deal with. And being type 1 diabetic, you're managing it 24/7. So having that support network where it can take the burden off of you every now and then, I think is really important.
Yeah, I think having peers or family, people, you're not alone in this journey. Like people who can really be supportive. No, thank you so much, guys. Let's have a look at the next question. You've all seen the Coping with Diabetes tool. You use it. What do you like about it, and how does it help you, or how can it also help other people? So as you know, DigiBete, we're welcome to everyone joining tonight. So we might have young people, might have families, younger adults, older adults, healthcare professionals, as you've seen. What do you really like about the Coping Diabetes tool? How does it help you? Let's start with you, Jack.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom. I would say for me, I think it's all of the segments that you've used across the Coping with Diabetes tool that are really, really relevant. Anything from, it's not fair to kind of managing your relationships, I think it definitely resonate with me. And as I've already touched on, that feeling abnormal, on top of the kind of the feeling of kind of, why has this happened to me? You know, like, what exactly did I do wrong? Are all very rational things to think at certain points. And I think especially when you're a teenager, they really come to light. So I think it's a very useful tool to have there and to make you realize, actually, you know, I'm not the only person that's felt like this, and I'm not necessarily alone in that, which I think is really, really important. But also in terms of kind of managing your relationships, all the rest of it. Again, like, I've had hypos, I've had high blood sugars, and I've kind of definitely behaved weirdly to people I really quite like and love. And I think having that there to kind of remind you that actually, you know, sometimes this does happen with diabetes. Sometimes it can affect your mood and your behavior, and knowing that it can have an impact on your relationships is something that you need to be aware of, and something that has, you know, at certain points in my life upset me. And it's useful to have that tool there just so I can kind of know, you know, what's going on, because it's sometimes hard to read. But yeah, I would say that's definitely how I can imagine it would help people like me.
Absolutely. As you touched upon, Jack, in the relationship button, there's information about how we talk about diabetes, but that relationship may differ between a family member, whether that's a close family member, maybe a nan, or, you know, a friend, a colleague, a partner. So all these sort of ways of talking about it may differ, isn't it? And the experience may be different as well. You might, after that conversation, there's top tips about what to do after a conversation. You might need to go away and go do them things you guys suggested before, or, you know, there's conversation starters that can really get people going, because sometimes you don't know what to say to people, do you? It's like, I live with type 1, that's it. Like, you know, so there's lots of resources there. What about you, Sam? What do you like about the Coping Diabetes resources?
I think all of the videos are brilliant. I mean, sometimes when you've just got text, it's very easy to isolate the message in the text from the person who's written it. Whereas with a video, having that face and sort of hearing the voice behind it, it makes it a lot easier to relate to. And it's quite nice, again, just to know you have that shared experience with someone else. All of these things that you might be feeling, someone else is feeling it as well. And it almost gives you that sense of belonging, that, you know, there is a community out there that has this shared experience and you're not alone.
Definitely that, you know, that instant connection, isn't it? It's like when you meet someone, sort of the language here in the wild. You see someone in the wild, in the community, who's got technology, and you instantly look at them to go, yeah, and you just get it. And, you know, by watching them videos, you just really understand there's other people going through them exact feelings that you're going through. So thank you for Sam for sharing that. Neen, what did you like particularly about the Coping Diabetes resources?
Yeah, so I agree with everything Jack and Sam said. And in general, I really like the focus on the mental aspect of the disease, because I think there's a lot of focus on the clinical aspect, but there's a huge mental burden as well. What I really like about the resource is the sort of activities and like question and written answers, because I think it gives you a sort of tangible way to cope with diabetes when you're feeling burnt out, when you're feeling when you need some kind of support. You kind of have the app, it's on your phone, and you can like go write about it, rant about it, or do the activities or watch a video. And I think it's really good to have something there that you need that's there at all times, because it does affect every aspect of life. And as we said, there's days where you feel on top of the world, you feel like you have it all under control, and then others you might need a little bit more support. And I feel like it's a good resource to just have, and it's a great thing.
Thank you, Neen. Thank you, guys. You know, I think, yeah, having them self-reflections, you can actually just offload. And that was one of the things when we co-designed it with young people, families, and the psychologists. We wanted that opportunity to give people just like yourselves the opportunity to throw it all down on the app and just, you know, just let it brain load onto it. And then you kind of maybe feel like relieved in a way. You've let go, isn't it? You've kind of let them worries maybe go, or you might have looked at some scenario questions to maybe help you prepare for certain situations. So thank you so much, Neen, Sam, and Jack for that round in the questioning. What top tips would you advise and to give to young people living with diabetes to manage their well-being? Neen, we'll come to you first.
Yeah, so I think my biggest piece of advice would be to not keep it all to yourself. I know it's most of the time you feel like no one understands, but I think it's important to share with people that don't have, your family, your friends that don't understand, because it gives them more understanding on how to support you. And also we're all different, so people might need different kind of support. And I think my other piece of advice would also be to, for school and university, use all the support you can. There's a lot of support put into place at schools, university, also finding online community of other type 1s, such as what we're doing now, or using platforms like the DigiBete app that really helps, and just finding all ways you can support yourself. And also just in general, being kind to yourself, because you're doing the job of a full-time organ and it is hard. And just be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself. And it is a lifelong disease, and it's a marathon, it's not a run.
Absolutely. I think you've hit it on the nail there, Neen, being kind to ourselves. And in the app, there's lots of breathing exercises and different videos to help in their moments. And one area particularly also focuses on, I'll highlight this is like looking at the successes and remembering the successes that we are doing every day. We're, like you've touched upon, guys, them 180 decisions. It's like that balancing act, It is tough, there's no on and off button here. It's just on all the time. So being kind to ourselves, listen to our bodies and stuff like that. Absolutely. Sam, what top tips and advice would you give to young people, families living with diabetes to help manage their well-being?
I'd say don't let diabetes be a barrier to anything you want to achieve in life. I mean, if you look around, there's people with diabetes at the top of their field, no matter if you're looking at sport, entertainment, or academics or anything. There's people who are diabetic who've achieved it. So, it might take 10, 15% more effort, and planning to do the things you want to do, but don't use it as a barrier. Don't let diabetes stop you from doing what you want to do.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, Sam. And what about you, Jack?
Oh, well, there's not much I can say that Neen and Sam haven't already said. I would say, to build on what Sam and Neen have said, really, is that just kind of don't lose hope that you can be happy with diabetes. I think it can be a marathon, as Neen said, but you can get there. And I think, you can be happy day-to-day life, and there are a lot of kind of mediums and things that you can do on a day-to-day basis to get yourself there, and you have to be ready to go and pursue them. And then you can find them and you can work it out for you. And everyone's a bit different. Everyone's got their own kind of process for these things, but I think it's something that's definitely attainable. And then to go on to what kind of Sam said is, don't let it be a barrier. Don't let it stop you. That would be my main 2 bits.
Amazing. Honestly, thank you, Jack. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Neen, for joining us this evening on this lived experience panel. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully people watching along tonight, please send your comments or questions into the panelists. They will be sticking around for a little bit in the chat. So any thoughts, any comments, please pop it in there. I'll answer any questions. But on behalf of everyone here at DigiBete, thank you so much. Claire says 64 years of lived experience on the panel. There we go. I wish I had some amazing sound effect. I'm just gonna have to clap because I can't press any buttons right now. So incredible. Thank you so much, Sam, Neen, and Jack. It's a pleasure, and we'll catch up soon. Wow, guys, I hope that was insightful for you guys. That was absolutely incredible. All 3 amazing young adults sharing their lived experiences, their perspectives, and hopefully giving you some sort of top tips as well of how they manage their diabetes in terms of their mental health, their emotional well-being, and going through some of the amazing features in the Coping with Diabetes tool. And now Sam is going to join us, and she's going to share some other resources on the Coping with Diabetes for adults from 18 all the way up to 25. Over to you, Sam.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're enjoying this evening's event so far. So Maddie showed you around the younger age resources of the Coping with Diabetes tool, and I'm now going to show you some of the resources for the 16 to 25-year-olds. So starting with the 16 to 18-year-olds, here are a few examples of the things you will find in the Coping with Diabetes button for this age group. Living with diabetes is 24/7, and it can sometimes feel like you're spinning lots of plates. As someone living with type 1 diabetes, you could be making an extra 180 decisions a day, and these start way before you've gone to school, college, university or work. It's really okay to feel like it's not fair, and as you can see here, there is an animation explainer with helpful activity suggestions from psychologists, such as talking, writing and drawing things to express how you feel. It's also really important to celebrate your successes along the way and recognise your achievements, no matter how big or small they are. Remember, your successes aren't just defined because of your diabetes. You are more than your diabetes, and you should most definitely celebrate all of your amazing successes, and you are making so many more decisions every day than someone who doesn't live with type 1 diabetes. Here we have some highlights of the resources for the 19 to 25 age group. If you could represent your diabetes, what would it be? What would it look like? Everyone may represent their diabetes differently, and that's okay. Do feel free to let us know in the chat what would your diabetes representation be. In the It's Too Much button, you can watch our film that shows how living with diabetes can feel overwhelming at times, and the box can get bigger and bigger, and we want to make the box smaller. We want to shrink diabetes, and this video highlights some strategies to help manage those emotions. There is also lots of helpful resources for young adults in the Managing Adult Life button. As you can see, including information about diabetes at work, university, and those big life moments. So do take a look and explore all of the other content in there too. And this leads us nicely to our next short film, giving you a bit more detail about the Coping with Diabetes resources for young adults.
The Coping with Diabetes area is a new tool in the DigiBete app.
It's always important to remember you're not alone. There are more of us out there. We do exist. We're in little corridors in the UK somewhere, but we are there. We can find each other if you really want to find us. So yeah, definitely go out and look if you want to. But just remember you're not alone.
Hopefully that's given you more idea about all of the things that are there to help you. And to finish off this section, I'm just going to show you a couple of quotes from people who have used the Coping with Diabetes tool and their insights into how it's helped them. So let's have a look. I like the peer support videos. That I like hearing and seeing other young people. It will genuinely help people to feel less lonely, as well as taking advice from them. And that's from a young person living with type 1. The Coping with Diabetes tool shows that you're not alone and helps you navigate adult life from another young adult there. And lastly, from a clinical psychologist, the Coping with Diabetes tool helps young people feel like they're not alone and normalises living with diabetes. It also offers ideas for topics that young people might struggle and not want to talk about to anyone else. And that's exactly what we want you to feel. You're not alone, and the feelings and emotions are normal. And hopefully the Coping with Diabetes resources will support you in managing this. Type 1 diabetes doesn't just affect the person living with the condition. We know it can ripple through the family too. And that's why we are now working to create parent and carer psychology resources as well. Over the past few months, we've been working with parents and psychologists from across the UK to create self-care resources designed to support parents of children and young people living with type 1 diabetes. We're really excited to tell you that these resources will be available very soon, and to ask you please, if you would like to get involved in reviewing them before they are released, we'd love to hear from you. You can drop us an email at hello@digibete.org, or you can pop a message in the chat. That's all from me. Thank you for listening. I hope it's been an insightful show around of the resources. Please enjoy the rest of tonight's event and feel free to ask any questions in the chat.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sam, showcasing some of the amazing resources there for young adults. We've had the panel chat, and now you've seen some of the resources. And now we're going to welcome Dr. Tessa Shanahan and Dr. Michael Cornish, who are two of many psychologists that were part of co-designing the brilliant Coping with Diabetes resources. And they're going to answer some of our questions. But if you do have any questions, pop them in the chat. We'll hopefully get them on here, or they'll be around in the chat later on, where you can ask away. And any comments, any questions, we've got some psychologists joining us tonight as well. So it'd be nice to hear some thoughts there. So let's bring up Maddie, Tessa, and Michael. Hi, guys.
Hiya.
How are you? Welcome to DigiTalks. I'm just going to see if Maddie is there. I can't see Maddie at the minute. Maybe a connection. We just lost Maddie. You can tell we're live on this Thursday night. How are you both? Welcome along.
Thank you very much for inviting us to come along.
Pleasure. Pleasure as always. Let's get into it, and hopefully Maddie will be able to join us in a second. Could you introduce yourself to the community and explain your role? What is a diabetes psychologist? Let's start with you, Tessa.
First of all, I'm Tessa Shanahan. I'm a clinical psychologist. I work in the Morecambe Bay area of the UK, which is just south of the Lake District. So my role as a psychologist within my diabetes team is to sort of recognise that diabetes isn't just about the numbers. It's also about how people are feeling, how diabetes fits into their lives, whether diabetes causes any barriers or whether parts of their lives are trickier to manage with having diabetes. So it's very much like I always say to the young people, I don't really care what goes on with your numbers. My job is to think about how you're feeling. And my team always say, oh, if you've got any feelings about diabetes, here's Tessa. So I think it's also supporting our teams to kind of recognise that diabetes can prove to be really challenging, and it can have an impact on everybody in the family. So I often try to be available to different members of family. So sometimes I might see a parent, sometimes I see young people, sometimes I've even seen siblings. So it's sort of recognising the impact that diabetes can have outside of those glucose levels.
And it does, doesn't it? It really does affect the whole family, and we need to look at people as the whole person, not just the data, the glucose. You know, feelings, emotions are so important. And if you're not feeling good, maybe your numbers or things like that may not match that feeling. If you're feeling really down, you know, it might be tough. I am going to hand over to Maddie. We have got Maddie, but I'm looking forward to this segment. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, sorry about that. So it seems that there was some kind of disconnection. I was there, but I was going hello. But anyway, that's live for you. So really lovely to join you, and thank you so much for giving up your time, and not actually just your time on this event, but actually your time over such a long period of time. And I think it's fair to say you guys have been super committed to this project, and I think it's really lovely to see the belief you've given it, and actually hopefully we'll be able to talk about kind of some of the successes that will come of it as well. So, you know, tell us a little bit about your role. I mean, I know your role in it, but tell me a little bit about kind of why you wanted to be involved in the project, and kind of, you know, what benefits you saw of being part of a project like this. So do you want to start with Michael?
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Michael. I'm a psychologist based in London. I've been working in diabetes. I was just trying to work out when Tom was asking about how long everyone lived with diabetes for. I guess I don't live with diabetes, but I'm living alongside diabetes as a diabetes psychologist for about over 10 years now, I think. I try to remember what your question was now, Maddie.
So what motivated you to be part of this project, Michael? Yeah.
I think it was, I guess it's a couple of different things. One of the big things is about, like, because me and Tessa are involved with the diabetes network across the country, and we're very sort of aware that there's some sort of pockets of the UK still that don't have access to psychologists, or that have very little psychology presence in their clinics, or they might not know who their psychologist is. And so having a sort of tool where people can access it anytime, if they're feeling worried in the middle of the night, they could just open it up and just fill out some of the forms to sort of, or listen to some of the exercises to calm themselves down. Or I think it was touched on earlier. Someone said actually sometimes you might not feel comfortable talking to someone, even if you do have a psychologist. It might be quite difficult to talk about some of these things. So having a somewhere where you can do things individually is going to be really helpful for some people. So I think that's one of the reasons. And I think the other thing. So I don't want to. I'll stop talking. Let Tess say something in a minute. But the other thing that really I think is really important is we just know that that diabetes does have an impact on people's well-being. Like we know there's lots of research shows it can have an impact. It doesn't have to. We know that lots of people do have diabetes and manage perfectly well, but we just know that there's a need out there for it, and I guess that's one of the reasons I wanted to get involved.
Thank you, Michael. That's brilliant. And over to you, Tessa. I mean, do you want to tell us a little bit about kind of, motivations and some of the main issues that you saw and why you thought this was important?
I think similar to what Michael said, I think it was really nice that there was going to be a resource at people's fingertips to be able to access. And I guess partly what I think I really like about DigiBete is it really normalizes some of these issues. So when sometimes people are sort of scared, well, am I really silly for saying that I feel left out by my mates because I have to deal with a hypo? Actually, when you see a video on there with somebody going, oh, I really hate how diabetes means I get left out at school because I have to deal with a hypo instead of joining in PE. I think it was all of those things sort of normalizing some of the real sort of emotional challenges of having diabetes. So I was asked, I think the DigiBete team kind of approached the national network and asked if psychologists would volunteer. I really like the fact that there's a real digital platform to kind of help support people, and I think the more we can offer, the better, really. So I was really keen to get involved because the only way you can kind of lead to change is by being part of the change. So sort of recognizing that as a psychology group, we haven't got the resource potentially to offer input to every single young person diagnosed with diabetes, and there's definitely pockets in sort of my northwest patch where there aren't psychologists and teams. So I thought in a way I can sort of share the knowledge and share some of those resources that I might use with the young people that access my service with other people who might not have a psychologist.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that was one of the things that we set out to do, was actually how could we extend some of the NHS support online, and how could we give early intervention? So this is just like the first set of resources that you might get if you or some exercises. And obviously young people may be waiting to see a psychologist. It's not a replacement for that. We do want young people to still access psychology if they need it, but it's a way of sort of, I guess, normalizing and psychologizing care, because we know that care is, it's not just a case of doing an injection, is it? For all of us that live with diabetes and our kids and adults that we watch as well, who struggle with it at work and everywhere else, it's much, much more than just, it's quite as we've heard from the panel today, it's quite monotonous, and it's quite challenging to keep going one day after the next with some of these challenges. So we've talked a little bit about your involvement, but where do you see most benefit now? For now, you've sort of seen the resources. Like, what are the resources that you think are resonating most with young people? Do you think different resources are needed for different young people's sort of aspects of life? Are you seeing them being used as, certain areas for certain people, and people dipping in and out? From our end, I think we can see the resources. Most people are going in and finding what they want and using it and coming out. But I'm interested from your end as a sort of psychologist and how maybe you might use them in practice. So Michael, should we hear that? Oh yeah, you can start this time, Tessa. Yeah, why not? Mix it up.
I think when we all met together as a group of psychologists, from what I remember, because it was quite a while ago, we already had the sort of titles for the buttons. And then as psychologists, we sort of spent a lot of time thinking about, right, what are we going to put behind that button? What information is really, really important? And I think what I've really liked along that process, and what I think has made DigiBete and these resources particularly useful, is that we've been really varied in how the resources are presented. So there's little animations, there's videos, there's sort of worksheets or questiony kind of bits to go through, and then there's also been bits of information. So what I think it does is it kind of gives information to a really broad audience. So if you're somebody who likes to journal, there's like sections where you can write about your feelings and you can write about some of your thoughts or some of your challenges. But if that's not really your bag, then that's fine, because there might be a video of a young person describing their experience of something, and that might be something that they can really link to. So for me, when we sort of started developing the resources, we had the titles for them, but I think we thought about, okay, what bits of psychological theory are we going to kind of underpin this with, and how are we going to present this in a way that's useful to different people.
Thank you, Tess. That's really brilliant. Yeah. So, Michael, anything to add to that?
I think it's about the age, because I know if you log on as you different ages for different resources, as we sort of heard a bit about earlier, and having that and trying to really target it for different people is really important. We want people to make sense to people. I think me and Tess have been more involved in the older section than the younger one. It's been really making sure we're trying, like Tess says, making sure we've got all this quite complex psychological theories and models, but making it accessible to people to make it understanding. And I know, Maddie, we talked for a lot of the feedback from the younger people, and they were quite keen to they want some of the science, they want to understand why this is helpful. So we were trying to sort of think about what the young people have been asking for and how we can incorporate that into the things, into the modules.
Yeah, and I think that is super important, isn't it? Is how do we pedestrianize all this technical language, but in a way that actually also is people feel they can trust it and it links to something real and scientific, because we're investing, people with diabetes are investing their time as well in using things. So they want to make sure it's going to be useful. And I think young people and families are quite savvy about that now. You know, they don't want to spend lots of time just looking at random stuff. They want to make sure they're getting the right stuff. And you know, working with the Psychology Network, which obviously Michael and Tessa, you're part of, has really helped, I think, because we've got the widest viewpoint as well. So we're able to test and look at what the young people are saying, and then test it against other professionals and peer review it. And so that's been really important. So what are your hopes, do you think? You know, hopes for the features of the Coping with Diabetes tool. What do you really hope that in, say, a few years' time, we can come back and say, you know, we've done a study on this, and we've, you know, young people have said, or what would you like, you know, how would you like it to kind of evolve and resonate? So there's two questions really. How would you like it to evolve? And also, what do you think you would like in the future young people to be saying about this resource to each other?
Do you want me to go first this time?
Yeah, go for it, Mike.
I guess one of the things I hope for is kind of a bit of a I guess it's cheating away, because I sort of know what's coming next. And that's kind of what I want. So one of the things one of the things working with diabetes, you know, we've done lots of them for young people, but it, as I think Tess mentioned earlier, affects the whole family. And so we're really keen to actually develop some resources for parents as well, and thinking about that aspect of things. So that's something we're in the process of at the moment as a group. So I guess that's what I'm quite looking forward to. I guess what I'd hope that that we come out and have lots of people accessing it. Lots of people, as a result, are either using the connect button, connecting up with other young people with diabetes. I think, like Sam and the young people mentioned earlier about that importance of peer support, and I hope that it will then be having people having accessed a little bit of psychological support, thinking actually maybe I can go and talk to one of the psychologists at the hospital. Maybe it won't be so bad if this is sort of what we're going to be doing. So hopefully it will make people more maybe excited might not be quite the right word, but more eager, more willing to come and sort of have a chat with us, and more open to sort of sharing about their experiences with us.
Thanks, Michael. That's really useful. Yeah, sorry, Tessa. Yeah, you come in.
No, it's all right. I would absolutely agree. I think you stole my thunder there, Michael. But I think one of the things is sometimes people get a bit worried, like, oh, I must be doing really badly if I've been referred to the psychologist. And I think normalizing conversations about well-being is one of the key things that I really like about DigiBete. And I kind of hope that people will see the well-being button as just part of their diabetes care, and psychological well-being and their mental health is all part of what constitutes good diabetes care. So I think partly for me, the hope is that it just normalizes the fact that people can struggle with diabetes, and the fact that you can have conversations about it, and being asked to see the psychologist doesn't mean anything terrible. We're not that scary. The other bit, like Michael says, that I'm quite excited about how the connect button's working, and I would really like to sort of see that expand more, because I think a lot of the young people I see kind of just want to go, I want to find other people with diabetes that understand me. And I think that connect button's going to be really important for both young people, but I think also for parents when they feel quite isolated with dealing with diabetes.
Yeah, and that's brilliant. You know, I think bringing those two things together, so looking at the kind of normalizing of the psychology resources, and I was going to actually say, and then bringing them into hopefully connecting with others, because sometimes it's that we've heard that from young people quite a lot once they've seen other young people talking about stuff and they realize they're not alone. And I think that's come through from one of our young people on the panel earlier, who said that as well, that, you know, once they started seeing digital peer support, they were able then to feel like they could actually go and maybe press the button on meeting someone. And so that's another way of managing to do that. But also in terms of connection, we have had some evidence actually from one of the Scottish evaluations around the idea that using DigiBete has helped them connect more with their diabetes team. And that's got to be a good thing, because we really want people to connect more with their team, because if they connect more with their team, they trust more of the team, and they go back and they go to appointments. And that's really an important aspect of what we're doing. So I don't know if there's anything else that you would like to share. I know there's a couple of questions. We're sort of towards the end now. I think we're probably, I'm going to find Tom coming up to the screen in a minute, I'm sure. But we've got a question here from Lewis, who says, what do you do for your own mental health, and what would you recommend? So we've got mental health, haven't we? You know, whether we are living with diabetes or other things, or you know, is there anything you would recommend yourself outside of kind of what we're doing with the digital tools? But is there one thing you would say, try and do this to help your mental health in your daily lives? So let's go to Michael first, since you're looking eager.
What was I going to say? I've got two dogs, which Tessa has heard about, and I think Tom and Michelle have seen loads of pictures whenever we have our little meetings of the dogs. So I find it really therapeutic just being with my dogs, stroking my dogs. So I'd recommend everyone get a dog, especially one as cute as mine. But the other thing I think would be one of the things I always recommend to people is just, and it gets, I think it's harder and harder in this day and age, but is do something just do something for yourself that's for no reason apart from that it's pleasurable for you, that you enjoy it. So it's not about developing yourself, it's not about making people happy. It's just doing something that makes you feel smile, that makes you feel good. And I think for me, that's just watching TV. I do that to just veg out in front of the TV, and that's my main thing I do.
And that's fine. That's great, isn't it? Run a bath as well. Good, you know, things you forget to do. Tessa, over to you.
I think it was mentioned in the panel, but like, I'm somebody who quite likes to go to the gym. I don't know if I like it actually, but I go to the gym. But what I like is I meet people I like at the gym and I chat to them while we exercise. And I think having that time away from any kind of social media, any kind of technology, and just having the opportunity to connect with people feels really important. And I've got two kids, so sometimes it's also quite nice just to have some time to myself and just to focus on having time just for me doing something that I want to do, which sounds really mean, really. But yeah, I think it's recognizing that you do need time to just replenish your own batteries, because you're not going to be good at any of the other things in your life if you're kind of completely run down.
Well, thank you so much. That's been a fantastic discussion tonight. And I think the passion behind all these resources from both the healthcare professionals and all of the young people that have been involved, which is, I can't actually tell you the number, but it's 30 plus young people have been involved in the co-design, and probably 40 actually when you're looking at different ages. So there's a lot of young people. I might be corrected by one of my team, but there's been an awful lot of work, and it's this iterative process that really brings us closer to what's better over time. And I think we also want to hear from you guys at home, what you like, what you would like more of, what you feel is most useful, what you feel is least useful as well. Because whenever we are developing these resources, we're really, really keen for that feedback. So you can always feedback at hello@DigiBete or app@digibete.org. And I think those links will go in the chat in a moment. But just a big thank you from both of you, and we hope that you've enjoyed tonight. I think Tom's going to be coming back up to the screen any moment to join us and to finish off. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you so much, Maddie. Thank you so much, Tessa and Michael, for joining us. We just got one comment from Vinny. He says, I'm 11, I have type 1, and I was diagnosed at 2. I play football or listen to music to cope. But do you have any other ways that link? So it's lovely to see that the young people that are watching tonight are sharing their things, what they do to help their mental health, and hopefully them things then will help with their diabetes. So thank you to Maddie, thank you to Tessa, and thank you to Michael. So thank you to you, though, for joining tonight's DigiTalks event. It has been an absolute pleasure hosting tonight's event, talking about such an important topic. We know how important mental health is, and tonight hopefully you've seen different bits that can really, really help. So thank you to you for watching. Thank you to the team in the background. We've got Heather as our producer tonight, Michelle, who's been in the community chat chatting away to you guys who had lots of comments. One question was, they've just tuned in now, will it be can they go back straight away after tonight? You can watch tonight's episode on our website, digibete.org/digitalks. You'll be able to see that within minutes of this stream finishing. And also thank you to everyone else in the team tonight, Sam and Maddie, for the fantastic show around the Coping with Diabetes app, and also Rob as well. So tonight has been our Coping with Diabetes event. You can watch it back, as I've just said. Go to our website, digibete.org/digitalks, and you can watch it back. Please share it on your social medias as well. Share it with your colleagues, your family, young people, so they can see it as well, and hopefully it can help them. And above all, we hope that the young person comes to clinic and talks about DigiBete, and they get the clinic code, and then they can go see all the amazing resources. So please go check out the recording. Let's have a look. What else? A big thank you to our panel, Sam, Jack and Neen, for coming on and sharing their lived experiences tonight and talking about such an important topic of mental health, emotional well-being, and how the Coping with Diabetes tool supports them. So a big thank you to our lived experience panel tonight. Thank you, guys. Thank you to Michael and Tessa for joining us for our live Q&A and conversation with Maddie. Thank you both for coming along tonight and chatting away with the community. But how did you find the event tonight? Please let us know in the chat how you found tonight. Any final comments, we'll get them on the screen before the stream ends in the next 5 minutes or so. So please let us know what you thought about tonight's event. And if you do get some minutes this evening or over the next couple of days, please, if you can, fill out our event feedback form, and it'll be on our website as well. And it lets us know of what you enjoyed about tonight or what we can maybe do next time. And also there's a question about planning DigiTalks events for 2026. So if you've got any ideas or you want to be part of the DigiTalks episodes, please get in touch. hello@digibete.org, and you may be on the panel just like the guys tonight. So please reach out. As always, you can go check out all the fantastic resources from Breakthrough T1D, Diabetes UK, as I mentioned earlier on in the evening, all their fantastic emotional wellbeing resources, and hopefully that will really help. And as I did mention at the start of the evening, if anyone has or is affected by any of the issues that have been covered tonight, please speak to anyone. It might be someone at home, it might be a friend, please talk. We've seen that tonight, how talk can really help, and please seek that additional support. It might be your diabetes team or someone else, and you're welcome to also contact us at DigiBete, hello@digibete.org, if you have any questions as well. And finally, you can go to our website, digibete.org, as you can see on the screen, see all the fantastic resources we've got on there. I mentioned the app many times this evening. Please speak to your clinic team to get your clinic code, and then you'll have access to all the range of resources, including our connect button, as Michael, Tessa, and Maddie have talked about, all the resources age appropriate for you guys, including our free carb counter and the Coping with Diabetes tool, which is bespoke for each age. So as you turn your next birthday, there'll be new relevant resources. And as always, please reach out to us. Our email is on the screen. All right, guys, thank you so much for tonight. I hope that you have thoroughly enjoyed it as much as I have hosting it. It's been a fantastic evening, talking, connecting, and talking about mental health. We know how important that is. I do hope that you have a lovely evening, and we'll see you on the next DigiTalks.